Hey, 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 Christina here with Frequency Fridays. I hope your week has been well. What did you think about the the series on action potential? I felt like that was jam packed with some gems, and so I just want to go over it and summarize it. Because if you're anything like me, you are all about practical presence. I am like, how can I take some of this knowledge and wisdom. It's a hummingbird. How can I take some of this knowledge and wisdom and apply it to my everyday life? Um, that's how I like to operate. So, how can we bring this action potential lesson into helping us live vibrational lives with intention and with power? Um, so, first and foremost, let us clearly understand that our mind operates off of fluctuating voltages. That is a key essential. We must think of our brains as the control center, right? It's our tool. It's a tool that we were gifted with to use. So, how do we use our brain and our mind as a tool? Action potential is going to help us there. So, when we talk about voltage, this could also be interpreted as electrical energy, but also our responses, the vibrancy of our thoughts, and the magnetic pull of our focus and attention. I'm really excited about this lesson on action potential because it's very empowering. Um, to me, it's very empowering in a practical sense. So let me start out with some homework. I like to call it life work, right? Because I am a student of life. So I'm always learning. I'm creating my own curriculum through living my life. So here is some life work for you to take with you to really ponder on and use this wisdom that we gain from learning about our minds, our brain's action potential. So what I want you to do is pay attention to what stimulates you. If you are a note taker, begin to write down some notes as you observe what stimulates you. Observe how your thoughts generate feelings and emotions. Can you connect those dots? Can you see when you think about something how it generates energy in your body? It generates vibrational sensations in your body that are feelings and emotions. Can you connect those dots? It's a great self awareness practice. And how and where does that activate energy in your body? Worry is associated with your stomach, your gut. And so that's an example of what I'm speaking of when I say, pay attention to where that energy is activated in your body. Where do you feel the vibrational sensation of anger? Where does it show up? Of worry, of anxiety. Begin to tune into that. So remember, Frequency Fridays is all about making a mental shift into vibrational thinking. And very simply put, vibrational thinking is emotional awareness and emotional intelligence. It's all about getting to a state of self regulation, being able to regulate yourself through the lens of self compassion and self love and self coaching. Because this control center, if you are anything like me, it's very, our brain can take us many places. And for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, our brain loves to go to the negative thinking first. If we haven't taken the time and made it a priority to truly invest in reprogramming our mind and having it work for us instead of working against us. And we're going to get more into that as we delve into the brain series when we talk about the limbic system, limbic loops, and the amygdala hijack. So let's remember, when we're talking about being self-compassionate and self-loving, let's remember that our cultural society has not taught us how to feel and allow our emotions to process out of the body. And I mean the entire spectrum of emotions. That means not being afraid to feel every feeling that comes our way. I think this is because our superpowers lie in developing this skill set of emotional awareness and emotional intelligence, self-regulation. It's said that we use less than 10% of our brain's power. Like, that's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I really hope to be a part of disrupting that percentage and increasing that percentage, because we've got to begin to use the power of our mind, the power of our brain. As I continue to say, and I deeply believe, God gave us this mind, God gave us this brain as a tool. It's a gift, because we are just ideas in the mind of God. God is living out a vision through us, and it's very unique through every individual person. And that is why it's so important to really bring in this practical presence for this lesson in your daily life. I mentioned how our cultural society doesn't teach us how to regulate ourselves through our emotional awareness and intelligence. Instead, we are conditioned to ignore them, to deny them, and or to avoid our emotional experiences. And over time, can you relate to or imagine the pain that will come from this? Because it's a emotional constipation. It's just stuffed down and suppressed and suppressed and suppressed. Over time, that's not going to be good for us, right? Can you imagine that? I was really mind blown and amazed. Somewhere along the way, I learned that our emotions are so powerful. I was studying about the inner voice. Our emotions are so powerful that they can literally derail a neurotransmitter's functional job. We've really got to learn how to self-regulate our emotional experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's really okay. If we ever desire to use our mind as a tool and to increase the capacity past 10% of the brain power, we have got to become masters, skillful masters in being vibrational thinkers. I love that mind shift over time because it helps me not carry the weight of emotions so heavily. And why is that so important? What are your thoughts there? Why do you think that's so important? I think it's really important because it's nobody else's responsibility to cultivate our vibrational sensation. So that means, we can't allow external stimuli to dictate how we respond to our vibrational sensation. We've got to take that inside. And we've got to be very in tune with ourselves. We've got to have a higher level of self-awareness, a higher level of emotional awareness and intelligence, so that we can see it for what it is and then choose how we're going to act and respond. Choose how we're going to take advantage of this voltage cycle that's happening on a very consistent basis within our bodies. How do we use that to our advantage? So, with this newfound understanding, of how action potential works. Let's take a clue from its success processes. Let's begin to embrace and enjoy the ride, or we can say the emotional roller coasters, or we can say the ebbs and flows of the ocean waves that are constantly coming in and going out, right? The rising and falling of intense emotion as we learn to develop inner safety for our vibrational sensations. The ones that feel bad and the ones that produce fear are especially the ones that I'm speaking of, because those are the ones that we often tend to um, deny, avoid, put in place on the back burner. But if we see them as just waves coming in and out, it's the rising and falling of voltage, nothing more, nothing less. Emotions don't make us, they're not who we are. It's just an experience that we're having. So let's remember that the wave will always settle back down as we honor ourselves with a refractory period. That is time and space for self compassion. That is time and space to shift our nervous system into a self regulated state. That is time and space to rest and recharge. Then we're ready for the next stimulation that's going to take us right to the desires of our heart. Because, for one, we're very worthy of that. We have the desire for a reason. And because we're emotionally aware, we have focused our mental energy with great intention. We have honored ourselves by using self-regulation tools that deliver peace to our nervous system. So let me leave you with a couple of last nuggets. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Embrace your action potential practically. And then lastly, I just want to share how I cultivate my mental power supply. And I do that with a prayer, one that empowers me. So I share it with you. Thank you, God, that you see me. Thank you, God, that you love me. Thank you, God, that you hear me. Thank you, God, that you support me. Thank you, God, that you are aware of me. Thank you, God, that you know me. I thank you, God, that you guide me. And I thank you, God, that you protect me. Thank you for joining me this Frequency Friday. I hope that this brings you some value, and I hope that you will nurture your practical presence as it relates to embracing the wisdom that we learn from our brain's action potential and how we can use that in our daily lives to become masterful and skillful in mastering our emotions, so that we can be empowered to use our brain power to increase that percentage higher than 10%, using it as the tool and the gift that it is, so that we can achieve our heart's desires and we can make this world such a amazing, great place to be. So let's anchor heaven on earth in the way that only you can, and I'm going to do that in the way that only I can. Be blessed. Take care. See you next week.